Greetings, and now I will do yet another preaching. What I do in my spare time shouldn't be anyone's concern. Anyone can have a quirky side when they are not doing work or something. So, back to the topic I wanted to discuss. And nowadays, many men really struggle with quitting porn addiction, and I will help quitting porn addiction. However, I will also explain why one shouldn't do that. Or rather, they should, but not for the reasons one might think of. So let's get to the point. How do you do that? First of all, why are you horny? You are horny because you observe something, or rather, a person and their behaviors and looks that activate some instinctual mechanisms in you that associate their appearance, their looks, their actions with reproduction, and it triggers reproductive related processes in you. Hormone release. Not only it is sexual hormones, it's also dopamine, because you might get horny, but you need to stay horny, because evolutionarily speaking, reproduction is a process, and to complete a process, you need to be in the mood. How do you stay in the mood? uh, for that you need motivation, and dopamine is a motivator. Many hormones related to mood are actually addictive, like adrenaline. It's also addictive. So dopamine addiction, why no alternative? Because your life is bleak. You don't have many interests. You don't have alternatives to get dopamine from. Diversify your addictions and specifically get more dopamine sources. Get to do or observe or experience more things that cause you to experience dopamine release and make you happy. So, aside of diversification, you need overindulgence. Do you know what is overindulgence? Gluttony. But do you know what virtue gluttony brings? Have you ever tried eating a cake? Well, let's imagine that your favorite food is a cake or sushi or something. So it's your favorite thing. You consume it. You love it. Your brain makes the pattern. Indulge in it. Be happy. Wow. But if you overindulge, if you eat so much that you want to vomit, your mind remembers it and it becomes a pattern. But the pattern will die if you don't feed the pattern. Like, mindfully, repetitively overeat the food that you like the most. And this way, you will break free from the cycle of enforcing eating the food. You instead enforce the frustration. This way, through overindulgence in things you enjoy, you receive frustration. And many people who are really hooked onto porn experience the post-nut sad. That is because they really overindulge, and they overindulge repetitively. And oftentimes, men simply quit through overindulgence alone. But those who don't need to really overindulge and combine it with alternatives. Because if there is no alternative, then overindulgence won't help. How can it help if the only source of happiness is that very thing that makes you sad later? Otherwise, they won't experience even a few minutes of happy. Those sad, later sad, but while on it, happy, sloppy minutes. So there must be diversification in order to compensate for the overindulgence. And finally, emotional control. How do you control emotions? Well, when you are sad, can you simply stop being sad? Can you simply stop being scared? Or can you simply make yourself happy when you have to be happy? You know that your mind can understand what emotion would fit a situation, but your body might disagree because it has some genetically predisposed triggers. But your mind has the ability to defy biology. There are people who die for religions. Defiance of instincts, of course, defiance of the self-preservation instinct. Yes, you are a neural network. That's why you have this ability. You are not exactly your flesh. You are hallucination, the product of work of your hardware. Neurons are the hardware. They operate on the genes, but you don't exactly. You can operate as extension of your body, but you can violate the rules your body functions on. So, how do you do that? Do you remember those situations when your ex betrayed you? They make you sad. Or do you remember those wonderful moments when your loved one kissed you for the first time? I bet it was wonderful. Or remember anything positive. You will remember the happiness. You will experience the happiness. Even if it is a fraction of that happiness, you still have the emotion. It's invoked in you. Make the habit. First you make action. Repetitive action becomes a habit. Habits make up a character. Character makes up a fate, and fate makes destiny. So, repetitively invoke emotions through remembering something. Remember stuff that will be useful. Like, let's say you are on funeral and you need to be sad, but for some reason you are not sad. Happens. So, remember something that really saddened you. You will experience the emotions that you mindfully understand is appropriate for the situation. You can do it with literally any situation. And that's wonderful, because once you make it a habit, then when you understand what kind of emotion you want, you will skim through all stuff that you remember that might be useful, and not really get into the details of the memories themselves. Therefore, the remembering part will slowly fade away, while the emotional experience part will be trained. So basically, through this, you will be able to invoke emotions with your sheer willpower. And it is beautiful, because then you are in control of your head. And it is a key to everything. Like, so you want to quit your porn addiction. You can just sabotage your desire by remembering how it feels in the end and just really meditating on it, just feeling it, experiencing it, and it will kill your motivation to do that. Because you know that thing when you imagine the final goal and when you lose motivation to achieve it because your brain it doesn't exactly make difference between reality and fantasy. That's also where many nasty mental diseases come from. But you see, it works with everything. So if you imagine the exact way you will feel, then you will be experiencing it. Your mind will be experiencing it as if you are going through it. This way, by intentionally invoking those sensations, ideas, and images in your mind, you will just make an illusion of doing the nut and you will not need to get to do it actually. Very wonderful. Self-sabotage. And combining those three methods, you will develop a pattern in your head. So, like, let's say I want to do the nut, but I really shouldn't. I have the feeling that I desire, but mindfully I choose not to. So, I have other options available for me, like I can do fencing, or I can read a wonderful manga, or perhaps go make and eat some sushi. I have alternatives. Then I know that if I do, I will just overindulge myself really hard and it will not feel pleasant. Eh. And I remember the pleasant times, the feelings, and my mind just understands that I don't need to do it in order to experience that cool, that nice feeling. So I no longer need to do it. Wonderful. I am free from the addiction. Amazing. This method worked for me. But now why you shouldn't fight your addiction? It is not for the reasons you might think of. So, I told you that your horny is your nature. You need the horny in order to survive, because otherwise instant horny would not result in a process, because then the horny would also instantly die. You need to stay horny in order to act horny. That is essential for your species survival. It is your nature. But since when is it in fashion? Self-defiance. Why should you be miserable? I mean, you know that you are miserable. It is why it's so hard to quit. Because you just become really open for alternatives and you are manipulatable. You can be deceived, taken advantage of. And all because of your frustration. Why should you be frustrated? It doesn't really make sense. But I say what? Now the reasons. So, you are mind, you are not the body. You need to break every single addiction you have through these three methods: diversification, overindulgence, and emotional control. You need to break everything that you love, everything you are attached to, because then you will have the pattern in your mind that whatever you develop passion for will bring you frustration. You know exactly how it ends, and therefore you are no longer attached to literally anything. You can let go anytime you find it beneficial to you. And yet you have the emotional control. It will generate you the drive you want. It will allow you to generate you motivation artificially upon your mind's desire. It gives you freedom. It makes you not an animal. Your brain is an animal. You train your animal. You command your animal. This way, you must break your porn addiction, but not eradicate it, because it is your nature. Your nature allows you healthy production of hormones. Your bodies are evolved to be fine-tuned and everything is in harmony. Your hormones, your horny, allows you to produce the chemistry that allows you to function as a healthy male or female. You need the horny, but you need to use it as an instrument, a tool to achieve longevity and health. use your horny. Do not eradicate your horny. Break your addiction and weaponize your horny to serve you. By weaponizing horny, you allow yourself to indulge in it time after time. This will allow you to stimulate your partner. Your partner might be horny dependent, so you can use it to steer your relationship into the direction you want, or to simply satisfy your partner's uh, sexual health. It's important, and people should be talking about it. It's important to satisfy one another, and it is a ritual of care. Care about your partner's sexual health, and therefore their life length. It's important, it's beautiful, it's honorable, and if you are single, you can take care of yourself with this. Just indulge in it and maintain the healthy balance of your hormones. In fact, overdrive is also good because then your biological features, feminine or masculine, will be over exaggerated. And by that I don't mean just epigenetics, the penis. No, it's not about that. It's about the inner functionality, how the bone structure is made, how the muscles are functioning, the tissue properties. Everything is interconnected, and you have a biological sex. It means that your body is tuned towards your horny hormones that make you a male or a female, in addition to genetics alone. So please do not disregard your biological needs. They are needs. You have to tend to them. Sure, you should control them, but control doesn't mean disregard. Do it mindfully and with awareness. Thank you for watching. I wish you long health and life without shame. Don't be ashamed of yourself. Weaponize your strengths and turn your weaknesses into powerful tools.